Welcome to Sports Connection. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director. And no, you have not seen a ghost. I'd like to welcome my special guest today, former host of this show, my co-host today, Dr. Jeremy Qualls. Dr. Qualls, thank you for subbing in today.
I'm back. I wish I could see everybody's household right now. They're fumbling for they're trying to get the remote. They're trying to change the channel. Those that have been taking anxiety medication from when I was on the show, if they watched it, are like they're having flashbacks. At this moment, we thought we got rid of this guy, but here I am.
You'll never be gone forever.
Never. As long as you'll have me on here, I'm happy to be here. You know, this is always a highlight every week of Tate and I, and I think that you have now obviously seen that and how much you enjoy coming in and working with this crew. I miss this crew. I miss talking about athletics and talking about, you know, our quality athletes that we have here in WCS and the programs that we have and the coaches and everything that goes along with it. You have an extreme reach, one I didn't really realize until I got outside and started looking at those watching what's going on and retweeting what you're doing, and you're doing a great job, and I know that you're enjoying it, and it is a pleasure to be back.
Well, we're very excited about having you back. It's starting to shake out on the hardwood, by the way. So here's what I would always say. Tell me if you agree with this. You can talk about your record in the district, but I don't think you really know until everybody's played each other once.
Well, there's no doubt. You know, you go through that first time. You know, when I see the 1-3-1 the first time, it may look differently the second time. I may be more prepared. I might be have a little bit more experience under me as far as that is concerned, and understanding personnel. You know that as well as anybody, being in that league last year. But you're right. You're 100% right. It's hard, and I think the caliber of coaches that we have, it's tough to beat them twice. It's tough to get prepared for them twice. So it's no doubt you're 100% accurate on that.
So another thing I'm thinking about that is this. So my team may be 4-0, your team may be 4-0, but my last 3 or 4 games may be against a tougher 4 than your 4. That's where I was heading with that. You don't really know because of the order you play each other in. That's
right. I mean, you look at the boys' side and the girls' side too, and you look at 1 through 9 seeding, and maybe you had them before Christmas and maybe you didn't. You always played, I think, Brentwood before Christmas.
Right.
That was
game
always
one.
You know, that's a huge game. If you could win that game early on, you know, you got football that comes into that, may not be in 100% shape, may not have everything figured out, but if you could get that win early, man, it plays dividends down the road. And you look at what happened late last year. Ravenwood beat Centennial twice in a week. Last regular season game, first district tournament game. You know, that's one of those things that play out. You got snow, you got inclement weather that plays into this. You may have to play 3 games in a week, and that really, those early games are really kind of go under the radar.
They do. All right, let's talk about some other sports before we get full-fledged into basketball. A lot going on. Bowling, the region tournament is this week at Franklin Lanes. Franklin and Page representing the girls' side, Brentwood, Franklin on the boys' side. Here's something that's interesting. I know you obviously know this as our former athletic director. It's odd that they have their district tournament, a month ago? And they don't have the region until this week. That's pretty unique.
It is, and I think a lot of it may be based, and I could be way off, but I think it comes down to facilities. Not everybody has facilities, you know, that serve nachos and deep fried cheese sticks, which are fantastic, by the way, at the smell of the bowling alley. But it really is, it's a unique situation. You go through all the rural sectors across mid-state and say, how many people have access to a bowling team, right? So, or a bowling alley, rather. But it really comes down to facilities.
We might, now that I'm thinking about it, I bet we could host some of these tournaments in some houses around here.
Absolutely. 4 years ago, we had the #1 bowler in the country, by the way, that didn't even play his senior year because he had earned a paycheck on the PBL. He has 2 lanes in his house in the Brentwood sector, and Mookie Betts was a frequent, had a key to the lanes.
Mookie, state champion as a junior, right?
I believe you're correct on that. Has bowled a perfect game.
Yeah. Hey. All right, let's talk wrestling now. District dual matches this past week. Centennial defeats Summit 53-18, Page 76-6 over Spring Hill. This past weekend, Franklin, Brentwood, and Fairview all hosted tournaments. At the Franklin tournament, Page finished first, Nolensville second, Franklin third, Ravenwood 16th. Brentwood's tournament, they had 5 top 10 teams in the state there. Brentwood finished 5th, and here's no surprise. Cooper Finch and Skylar Coffey both won championships. Both were named outstanding wrestlers for the tournament. And finally, Fairview, champions of a 10-team tournament. Now, I don't know if you know this. Coach Derrick, I was out there last week watching a basketball game and watching a wrestling match. They do their matches under the spotlight. Have you seen this?
James Bubba Derrick has made Fairview wrestling relevant. It's pretty phenomenal. If you go back 5 years ago when I first started, 6 years ago now, he was just getting started and getting those things going. It's a community feel. He's got the elementary school kids doing it. He's got kids doing it that have always been either based in baseball or football. He has made it relevant. He's done a phenomenal job, and it shows right there, 10-team. You go back to the Brentwood thing. Skylar Coffey, are you kidding me? This kid's nationally ranked. He's going to win the state championship. If somebody beats him, I want to see it. Not going to happen. Book it. Heard it here first. I should put the corncob pipe in. It's a deadlock. But Cooper Finch, you know, you look at Cooper. Cooper has come a long ways. I mean, he has always been right there on the cusp and winning at Brentwood in his weight class. I know that one of our own, Dana Fitch, who's an administrator here, is happy of that, as well as his dad, who's the OC at Brentwood. But Cooper has always been there. He's gonna have a great chance just as well to win that state title. And
my prediction, Fairview still looking for their first team state title for the school. It's going to be wrestling.
I think that's a good safe bet if he gets an opportunity to do so. I still got to compete with some of those East Tennessee teams, but I think that if you're going to win one, I couldn't agree with you more. That's a chance to win one in that area.
All right, let's talk about football. All-state team, the TSWA, that's the Sports Writers Association of Tennessee, named their all-state football teams. We had 11 represented: Ravenwood, Brian Garcia, Andrew Mason, Graham Barton, Luke Akers, Reggie Grimes represented there for Ravenwood. Jackson Campbell of Independence was also named in 6A. In 5A, Joel Meyer of Page, Jalen Herod, Keaton Wade of Summit. In 4A, C.J. Ware and Mr. Football, Tim Koutras. Now, tell our viewers, we were talking about this before we came on air, how you really like this TSWA poll.
I tell you why I like it, because you look at it.
Is it a poll?
I think it's more of a list or a group. You start looking at all the different groups. I mean, it's almost like everybody can get an award nowadays, right? And that's the old saying. But you go back, we used to have the Nashville Banner, Tennessee, and all mid-state team, and then you had the all-state team, right? All mid-state team was really, really a strong list to be on. But to be on the all-state team, obviously, you're the cream of the crop. It's kind of like our Wilcos, right? You start going down that list and looking at these guys. This TSWA, to me, though, you've got all the publications. They do a wonderful job here locally. You've got the Middle Tennessee publications with Kreger. But this TSWA, really, really, they depend on those conversations and experiences that they had with their eyes at the game, on the sideline, and talking with opinions of coaches and saying, and the coaches are going to be very objective about it and saying, hey, man, you know, my kid's good, but that kid over there is probably a little better, because that's the coach speaks. So this list really is accurate. You start looking at it, though. I mean, Tony and Brian Rice, Rice University of Ravenwood, left off the list. Luke Schaus, Ole Miss commit. You know, Walker Merrill, all the offers that they have.
Cade Walker.
Are you kidding me? I was the biggest guy for Cade Walker, as you well know. There's so many of our guys that could make this list, but this is a state list, and congratulations. And it's not easy to get on this list. And you look at Brian Garcia, very deserving, Andrew Mason, and all the guys that you mentioned, very, very deserving to be on this list. Congratulations to those guys. Not an easy list to get on.
Well, and it's by position, so it's not like these are the 25 best players by class. It's what they consider to be the best player by position.
That's right. And it gives, if you look at it, it's 22 spots, right? You got 22 chances, but you start looking at this, Coach Jones, Andrew Mason, Rice University, Luke Akers, UCLA, Reggie Grimes, OU, C.J. Ware, Miami of Ohio, Koutras, Liberty University, Jalen Herod, Navy. You just go down that list. You start looking at all these kids. This is top notch. Graham Barton, Duke. I mean, it's pretty amazing to be on this list and look at the local WCS talent that we have. Man, we're turning them out better than anybody.
That can't even be questioned. Cross country, they also named their all-state, again, TSWA, freshman Alyssa Andrea, the state champion of Fairview, junior Leah Walters, of Page. I mean, come on. We're going to see them at the Wilco's.
Yeah, that's going to be a name that you're going to hear. Just something just hit me while I go on this TSWA. Paul, you're going to see a name come across in boys soccer from Fairview, Brandon Parrish. Could be a
Clemson.
Listen, it could be a great chance that boys program could potentially beat that wrestling to that top spot as a team sport. Don't know that yet. Think they have a good chance too, so don't keep them out.
Maybe both.
Maybe both.
Which would be exciting. All right, let's talk hoops here. Let's start off 11 AAA girls standing. Brentwood 5-0, still atop the league. Of course, they still have to play Dixon. That game will come up later. It was a canceled game that they have to make up. Page at 5-1, Dixon and Independence 4-1, Ravenwood 3-4, Summit 3-3, Franklin, Springfield, and Centennial round out the district. What stands out to you there as you look at the girls' standings right now?
Well, my hope in this segment is to give you more than a one-word answer, as your former or your current partner usually does. We know he's on assignment today.
Are you saying he's not a basketball guy?
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, it's like Coach Coleman has trained him in media relations. Coach Coleman has superseded him. Now, let's look at this. This is what we always like to do. Don't mean to go back to the past. This is the way it gets my brain right. If the district tournament was played today, I love to look at those matchups. Brentwood High School versus Spring Hill Centennial winner does not matter. We advance. Amelia Osgood playing really good basketball, Trucial Twins. Page High School versus Franklin High School. I think that's also one-sided currently right now as it stands. Dixon, Summit High School. Interesting. We both know Summit right now is injury plagued. If they get their injured players back, could be a force. And then Independence Ravenwood is also an interesting. That 4-5 matchup's always interesting. What stands out to me is your top four right now have clear advantages over the field. I keep going back to the Summit with Colson being out. When Colson comes back in that post role, she to me is probably one of the best, if not the best, returning posts coming into the season. If she comes back, what difference will she make, Coach Joins?
What difference will she make? I'll put it this way. If Summit ends up finishing 6th, which I don't think they will, you wouldn't want to be Dixon County or Independence and look up and say, tell him what he's won, Johnny. A matchup against Summit.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, you don't. To me, if I'm the rest of the league, I almost want her to come back sooner than later. So they can, especially if I'm a top team. I don't want to end up as a top team having to take them on in the first round.
I tell you, the first thing that stands out to me right now, though, is Independence High School coming in at 4-1, 10-4. Coach Glaze.
The Glaze got them going.
I mean, he's got them going. I haven't seen him with my own two eyes yet. I look forward to seeing him play. Something's different. And right now he's got them playing really well, but we still got that second half of the season, and man, it's going to be it's Murder's Row coming up.
It is. All right, let's talk some recaps here. Brentwood 75 at Ravenwood 28. That was our WCTV game of the week. Brentwood was coming off a big non-district win over Nolensville, 60-44. Emily Trucial.
Brown now looking to break that Brentwood press. They do it nicely, and Hillman has his shot rejected quickly up the floor.
Oh, wow.
Trushell to Trushell, and it'll work out as Emily receives the assist from her sister Delaney.
Leads the Bruins with 24 points, hits 1,000 for her career that night. Amelia Osgood, 17. Delaney Trucial, 14 on 3 threes. Really, from the get-go, Ravenwood was just outmatched.
Before they leave Brentwood, you're looking at 3,000 career points is what you're going to look at.
Minimum 3,000.
I mean, that is just crazy to have that. Let me tell you, when you start looking at both Trucial Twins and the play action they have between them, some college is going to get them. They're not going to split up. You better go to them both.
South Carolina Aiken at this point. We'll see about
Getting them both?
Yeah, whether that plays out.
And Osgood, I know I'm kind of a little bit out of the loop. I know that she's getting offers and offers. She will also make somebody very happy.
She will. Ravenwood, again, never really in that game. Had a tough week last week. Also dropped a game to Page, 35-48. Reagan Grimes at 15 points. Elizabeth Flynn, 12 in that matchup. But still, Ravenwood, I think, like Independence, maybe not to Independence's level, still a little bit of a surprise so far at 3-4, especially when you consider what they lost.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a quick question.
I hope I have the answer.
75-28. Okay.
Boat race.
It's a tough week. It's a tough week.
It's a tough week.
You got to find something to take away from that game. When you play this game, I'm telling you, I've seen it for 6 years now. Regardless of records, it could literally be flipped the next time they play. It's amazing. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. That crowd, when they, it's just amazing. Atmosphere, it could be flipped. You got to find something to take away from this game. I know that he will. Grimes with 15 obviously is a good point, but we got to build on that and figure out. Okay, we obviously can't run and gun with them, so we're going to have to figure out a way to stay in the game.
It's going to be tough, but like you said, when those rivalry games happen, it can flip pretty quickly. Speaking of rivalry games, it was Rivalry Friday, so to speak. Centennial 44, Franklin 55. Franklin, both teams coming in without a district win. Franklin gets off the schneid with a big W. Bergen Ali with 23 points. Kate O'Neill with 22. Ali had a great week. They lost that tough game at Summit in overtime. That was the old John Wild versus his former team game. Ends up being an overtime game, but Ali hits a big three that sends that game into overtime. But they just couldn't get it done in that particular session. Coach Johnson, in talking to him, even though his team is 1-5, they're still coming in with a positive attitude, still working hard and getting better every day.
Well, yes, and you got to continue up that ladder. You start looking at Coach Simmons' team over on the Centennial side. You know, you get beat by 11. It's probably closer than you've been in that game in a long time. You just got to build off of that. Hopefully, try to steal one every now and then. You've got to beat Spring Hill. You've got to come in and try to beat Franklin. You got to try to get yourself in position where maybe something can happen that first round of the district. You never know. But hats off to Franklin getting that win. And it's not always easy in the Battle of Franklin.
Independence 65, Summit 51, a game that was really closer than the score. Going into the fourth quarter, that game was tied. And then in the fourth quarter, the big three for Independence. Kayla Miller, Lindsey Freeman, Jalen Banks, all end up in double figures. Miller with 18, Freeman and Banks both with 15. And Jalen Banks, she's our Samson Johnson of girls basketball, a freshman who is making her name very well known in this district early on.
Well, what stands out to me on this, you look at this, a 21-6 run to close it out, 22 of 28 from free throw line. Independence is taking care of business. Now, you're doing it right now. The border battle happened without Colson. The next time you play in that border battle, the return of part 2, if she is there, you know, you get beat 14, she's good enough to have a double-digit game any given night, will average a double-digit. What's going to happen there? Does some of these post points come off of the Indy side and go to Summit side? It's going to be interesting to see how this plays. But right now, Independence is playing really well. Coach Wild will keep that boat straight for Summit. Keep them straight during the injury-plagued part. When they get everybody back, I'm telling you, they're going to be a team you don't want to play.
And still a good week for Summit, 2-1 for the week. They had the makeup game against Spring Hill. They beat Franklin in overtime, so they do end up 2-1 in the district for the week. Marley Anderson, Taylor Penning with 14, Megan Easterday with 13. Summit hits 9-3. So you think about that. You got 3 girls scoring double figures, and I can assure you, when Ellie gets back, she'll be scoring in double figures. They're going to be hard to stop because who do you guard?
9 threes. I love Marley Anderson. I watched from Marley Anderson from the time she was at Spring Station to now. That girl's a winner. She is a consummate teammate, cheerleader when she's in, when she's out. I just love watching that girl play. I just think that they're going to be okay before the year's out. I look forward to that district tournament, man. It's going to be wide open.
It's going to be wide open. Page 60, Spring Hill 44. Again, Page goes 2-0 during the week. We mentioned that game they had over Ravenwood earlier in the week. Both games were on the road last week. Big games from Lily Wilkin, Abigail Ward, Delaney No. I think Page, because of Brentwood, and Brentwood beat them obviously a couple weeks ago, is flying a little bit under the radar, and they are 14-1.
I don't know why it's any surprise. I mean, you're talking about the teams that have been 1 and 2 all the way around, but it does have that feel, doesn't it, Coach?
It
Jones?
does.
Like almost like Page is down this year, and you look at the record, and they're sitting right there. They're going to knock off somebody. They may beat Brentwood the next time they play. They're going to advance to the region tournament. Coach Brock's going to be there. I would hate to have that matchup in a region tournament against Page. I mean, we got another Wilkin girl, obviously the younger of the two, great player. This is no surprise. Spring Hill, I'm assuming their only win currently is against Centennial. That'll be a split this year, book it. And then they won't win another game against anybody else.
So you think about
not Centennial, but Spring Hill has won their only game.
So Page, let's get back to Page and Brentwood. My prediction is if they can stay away from one another in the correct round in the region, both teams are going to make the state tournament,
I think
along with Nolensville.
I think it's a great opportunity, but you're going to have to – everything's got to work out. You got to be injury-free. You got to have everybody clicking on the same night. I agree. They can't mess around in the district here. If they go chalk the rest of the way out and maybe lose 1 or 2 games, Dixon obviously is the spoiler in this. Indy could play spoiler as well. But if they go 1-2 in the district regular season, I think there's no doubt about it they could go through. But once again, you get into that upset in the first round or second round of the district, rather, consolation game, and then end up having to play in the region, that could hurt.
Boys side, Brentwood, Dixon, both at 5-0, still yet to play, by the way. That was a game that was canceled because of weather. Centennial, Franklin, Summit, all sitting at 4-2. Then Ravenwood, Indy, Page, rounding out the 9-team district. Again, and we talked about this last week, Dr. Qualls, Brentwood, Dixon, Centennial, Franklin, Summit. Only 4 of those can advance. Plus, you may look up and be playing Independence, Page, and Ravenwood, who could all be spoilers depending on the matchup.
Well, I think you saw that last year. Coach Whitlock's team, I hate to use the word.
3-6, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're sitting there staggering or limping, as you would say, coming across the finish line, getting the tournament, and they win a huge game at the end of the regular season and turn around and beat the same team in 7-day window. Anything can happen. Let's look at this, though. 1 through 5, 4-2, the worst. I mean, it's pretty amazing. Dixon obviously sticks out to me. Y'all have said it for 3 years now. Dixon's going to be good. They were good that first year. The second year, you're like, man, I don't want to play them. And you guys kept saying, Dixon's going to be really good next year, and here they are sitting at 12-1, 5-0. But this is not a Dixon County show. They don't get this show, so I'm going to tell you right now, I hope they're outside looking in. But Brentwood, to me, is the most shocking.
It is.
Coach Shirley, this is a testament to the job that he's done this far.
No doubt.
Not the most talented Brentwood team that by any stretch of the imagination. John Winley. Excuse me, David is his older brother. John Winley is a very good basketball player. Obviously, his supporting cast around him is playing great team basketball. It's really shocking to me to know that they're sitting 11-4, 5-0 in district play right now with, I hate to say lack of talent, but not the most heralded team that they've had in the past.
Well, and just to be honest, and we've said this before on this show, and this is, again, no disrespect to them at all, but if you took everyone's starting lineup and you said, hey, guys, line up around the gym here, and you were going to pick which team you wanted to coach,
no doubt.
Of the 9 teams, you would probably pick them 5th or 6th.
There's no doubt. They don't have the size, the length that they've had in the past. You're right. They just got to be smart, heads-up player, the hard-nosed, that rebound and do everything right. Then you look at this second group, 3, 4, and 5. Put them in a bag, shake them up, reach in there. I'm going to tell you, there's one that's going to come out of there better before the year's over. They're starting to get things figured out. I'm going to make a prediction. I always look like an idiot every year, so why not this year? I really think Summit is going to be in the 1-2 picture before it's over with. I think Dixon loses second time a go-around. Things are going to get figured out. Franklin, are you kidding me? What is going on? They got rid of their coach and they got better. It's amazing. Hey.
Well, the verdict's still out on better, by the way.
We've got Thunder and Lightning down there with Big Curl, and the guard. I've gone like, thank you. I'm laughing at you.
Fire and Ice.
Those guys have played. I mean,
no, they've played great.
They've played great. And then Centennial behind Isaiah Poor Play and Dusty and those guys. I think you can rattle them around, but I think Summit is the best out of those 3. Don't kill me, Franklin. Rebels, they don't even know who I am anymore. But
me neither.
This is going to be amazing coming down.
It is.
Who's getting in? You want to make a prediction? Who's the top 4?
I'm not doing that
Who's the
yet.
top 4 getting in? You want me to? I'll get you in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me look at it.
Who's it?
If they play today, Brentwood plays Spring Hill Page. Do I need my boat captain hat there? So I really think it's a coin flip between Dixon and them. Either way. Dixon, Indy, that's an interesting matchup. Keep your eyes on that if they played Brentwood, Dixon against Indy. Centennial High School, Ravenwood High School. I think Centennial has a little better team right now, but this is not played tonight. And then Franklin and Summit. Man, are you kidding me? Franklin High School, that reminds me of the day that you had to play that opening play-in game.
Don't remind me.
With Reese Glover against Coach Glass and who? Murphy. Man, what a game that was. One of the best games I think I can remember in recent memory. So I think I'm going to go. Here's the top 4. Brentwood, Centennial, Franklin, Summit. They all go. Dixon's out. They get upset. Is that easy enough for you?
Sure. I feel like it's a cop-out a little bit.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I know people watching the show, I've said it every year, and I'll say it again this year. Williamson County Basketball District Tournament is one of the most exciting events there is.
It is.
It really is amazing. Our numbers are through the roof. The ticket sales are through the roof. And I mean, you know what would make it better, Coach Jones? If you had it at the Ag Pavilion.
No, you know I'm not an Ag Pavilion guy.
Well,
Wait a second. Unless another team's hosting.
Well,
And I don't have a team
I
now,
mean,
so sure.
let's accommodate people instead of fire marshaling them out and making them wait outside, right?
Sure. Why not? Let's talk this real quick before we move on, because we haven't done this yet, Mr. Producer. The WCTV game of the week, again, was the Battle of the Woods.
Yep.
Brentwood 60, Ravenwood 53 in the boys' game, overtime game. But before we talk about that, let's take a look at our plays of the week.
But they're shutting him down, are the Raptors. Winley again for the short 8-footer, and that one rolls out. He gets his own board, though. Back outside, and canning the three is Mason Redner for his second three of the night. You see the Brentwood crowd erupting, and unable to answer are the Raptors, and Brentwood now with a 6-point edge, 2 minutes to go.
Dr. Qualls, obviously that was a big play during that game. It's in overtime. You talked about John Winley. Misses a shot, gets his own rebound. My favorite three that you can take, the kick out to Redner. He knocks down the three. And Brentwood, I wouldn't say cruised from there, but that was a big play in that particular game.
The second effort by Winley, look at that. Gets the rebound, kicks out, in rhythm, stepping to the goal. Nothing but net, man. That's the way you teach it. That's the way you want it to do. But the second effort by Winley, please don't go unnoticed, because to get his own rebound, to have the IQ, the thought process in that moment, we got to get the rebound and put back to see what happens. Boom, kicks it out, buckets.
Again, big win for Brentwood. Ravenwood did have a big win earlier in the week with that win on a last-second shot by Connor English over Page, 56-55. Battle of Franklin, Centennial 40, Franklin 64. A little bit of a surprise there, not necessarily the outcome, but the margin. 22-9 at the end of the first quarter. Big nights for Reed Kemp, who had 30. Matt Thurman, 15, Aiden Smiley, 15, 60 of their 64. But I'm going to tell you this, unsung hero for the Rebels, and by the way, a fan of this show. He's been watching it for a while. Taylor Spirito, talked to Coach Tigert and Coach Anderson, Coach Davenport about this after the game. Did a great job defending Dusty Williams, but a guy who you won't hear a lot about because we're such a points-driven society when it comes to basketball.
Dusty was held to 2 points?
No.
Oh.
Not two.
But he chased him around.
Chased him around.
Okay, I got you. Well, you start looking at it. Let me get this right.
And by the way, Dusty has 1,000 now.
Reese Glover is not playing for Franklin. Not playing, not coming out. I mean, you beat Centennial 24 points. I'm telling you, there's people in Vegas that lost money on this game. I never would have thought. The spread was probably 5, and here you are talking about 24, and that's 5 either way. Who knows? Man, it just goes to show you right now the level of basketball that Franklin's playing. I mean, it's really, I think it's really shocking. I'm telling you, they improved coaching-wise.
Well, that can't be questioned. Team-wise, we don't know yet, although they're playing really well.
Let's just not pump the brakes on this for a moment, because it is first half of the season. I hope they can sustain that and keep it going. But you're talking about fire and ice. Thurman arguably could be the best post in the league right now. Should be, right? He's had plenty of experience. He's a junior. Baby soft hook, things he does. And now you got arguably the best guard playing right now, scoring guard. And, you play good defense, do some other things. You throw Spirito in there and do things like that. You can beat anybody any given night. Bet you're going to see more of that chase around as the year goes through in the district season.
Well, and the other thing for Franklin is because of their size, in my opinion, once they get through district play, if they just get to that region tournament, because of how well they rebound, I think they match up really nicely with the Metro teams.
Yeah, I'm glad because, we're finally seeing the man-to-man defense at Franklin High School, so it'd be interesting to see those matchups, how they're going to progress. Be careful with what you just said. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know that I agree with that. I really don't. I may disagree with you. We ain't going to have enough time to debate it. I just think that's kind of an Achilles heel for us man-to-man-wise when we do go against those Metro teams. We don't lend ourselves very well sometimes in those one-to-one matchups, but we'll see. I'm just an idiot.
No, nobody's arguing with him from back in the back, I noticed.
You're supposed to say, no, you're not.
Independence 40, Summit 59. Two teams heading the opposite direction. 4 straight district wins for Summit. You alluded to that earlier. 4 consecutive losses for Independence. Here, a couple of things that stood out to me when I looked at this game. For Summit, 9 different players scored, but they still had 2 in double figures. Destin Wade, 14, Keaton, 10. We've heard those names all fall now into the winter. 5 threes as a team. 5 different players. You have to pick your poison, so to speak, when you play Summit.
Well, before the Keaton and Destin Wade brothers got there, as well as some of the other football guys, obviously Trey was having to burden that load. I think now that when Trey figures out his role and they all figure out how to mesh best, most dangerous team in Williamson County.
And new coach, too. I mean, it takes some time.
That's true.
Which, to me, is another reason it's impressive what Summit and Franklin are doing, because that stuff doesn't happen overnight. When the philosophy changes, the style of play changes, it's impressive, both teams. Page 56, Spring Hill 46, first district win for the Patriots. By the way, they, in their first 5 games, they were 0-5 in the league, 9-0 outside the league. They had led every game in the second half. So you look up and you're the 1 seed or the 2 seed or the 3 seed, and you face Page in the first round, that could be tough. Mason Allen, Thomas Seaman, those guys can play.
Well, here's that.
And those aren't the only 2.
Here's that razor's edge of coaching, right? You go through 5 hard-nosed games, Brentwood included in there, teams you may not have beaten in a long time. You've got them down, you've got them on the ropes late in the game, and you lose. You come back. You come back, you come back. You go 5 straight times getting beat like that. You've got to keep selling it to the kids. Keep going. We're going to be there. Before it's over with, if you can get a win every now and then, like you did right here, that was so important that they get that win against Spring Hill. You never know what's going to happen. Page could end up being in the middle of the pack before this thing's over the second time around if they could get some of those wins.
Let's talk AA here. We'll start with Fairview, girls and boys. We'll talk about both here at the same time. Fairview girls with a big district win, 57-13 over Waverly on Tuesday. They did lose to a team you may be familiar with in terms of where you're from, East Hickman, 53-44 on Friday. 4-1 in 11 AA for Fairview. Right now tied with Stewart County for second. Still chasing Creekwood at 5-0. Kelsey Gossage, another big week. 12.7 rebounds versus Waverly. Also, in another game, had 19 points, 11 rebounds, and only a junior. Dr. Qualls, only 2 seniors on that team.
Well, Coach McGowan's doing a good job this year. They're playing well. You know, we're talking about that razor's edge. If you're the Waverly's girls coach, there's no talking out of that one. 13 points. But East Hickman's been a really good team. This is that team they have been building for about 6 years now. Middle school won the district. Now they're getting up to the high school. These girls are becoming juniors and seniors. Really good team. Be interesting to see Fairview, East Hickman, and Creekwood come district tournament time. Those 3 teams will probably be really, really difficult to beat.
Fairview boys, 3 wins last week. Wins over Waverly, Marshall County, and East Hickman.
That's some big wins right
11-5, 5-0 in the league. Again, Creekwood and Stewart County look like the biggest competition for them. And if you look at Fairview scores, almost every night you have 3 guys in double figures. Bill Eads, Garrett Wooten, Locke Horde, In that Waverly game, which I went to last week, Dr. Qualls, Eads had 32 points against Waverly, 7 of 8 from 3-point range. And you know I like the 3.
And by the way, he's not a guard.
No.
He could be a combo. He could be inside-outside guy, but he's a big guy. He kind of plays the 4. Think about it from a trailer position at secondary, top of the key, bingo. And the big guys that are guarding him have a hard time doing it. And then he's a mismatch if a guard plays him, so then he can take him inside. But anytime you can beat Waverly, anytime you can beat Marshall County, those are quality wins. Fairview's get it done. Coach McCoy just keeps on plugging. These kids not as talented as the previous 2 years, but that's, if you look at some of the things that we talked about in football and basketball, the teams that went on to win and get deeper and even win state championships were not as talented as the teams that came before them. It's just the experience. Bill Eads has been in that program. Lockhart has played in that program. He's been to the sub-state game twice, 2 years in a row. Could it be the magical year?
I wouldn't count them out. Ravenwood football circa 2015,
That
right?
is correct. Same thing. Exactly. More talented team, runner-up. The last talented team came in, won it, knocked off the giant that is Maryville, and never would have thought they'd have a chance. But that experience pays off huge.
Before we finish up today's show, let's talk Nolensville. It's hard to believe, especially when you start talking about Fairview and their league and also the AAA league here in WCS. They are playing their first district games this week. Really, they've both played 14, 15 games, and these are the ones that really count. Giles County and at Murfreesboro Central this week, and I give Coach Ladd and Coach DeGaulle, although he probably inherited the schedule a little bit, they've played a tough schedule. The girls coming in at 10-4, the boys team only at 4-9. But I'm telling you, when district play starts, I expect to see both teams atop those standings.
I agree, and I think the scheduling is important. Play all the WCS teams. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about wins and losses. Stay healthy. You're not going to see anybody more talented, and it's going to get you ready for when you have to go into that region, which is tough for them, man. You're talking Stratford and all those other teams that are in there. So get yourself prepared. Don't worry about your overall record. Win your district games and roll on.
I don't know if you saw this, but the girls' game, they played Maplewood. Nolensville played Maplewood on Saturday. I think the score was maybe 28-10 during the girls' game, and it was rained out.
That's a first here.
Rain coming from the roof there at Maplewood. Game's canceled. Have you seen that before?
Didn't that happen in the NCAA or SEC tournament in Georgia once?
I think it was a tornado.
Oh, maybe. Okay. No, I haven't seen that. That's interesting. Interesting.
All right, Dr. Qualls, if you take a look there at this week's games, just pick one or two out that you think are big games. Obviously, we're looking forward to our WCTV game of the week, Brentwood versus Independence. In particular, I'm interested to see that girls' game.
Biggest game of the week for me, Summit-Dixon, both on the girls and boys side. I really do. I think Brentwood girls are favorite and will win that at Indy, whatever the point spread may be. That boys game as well will go chalk. Ravenwood Centennial on the boys side will definitely be interesting.
I like that Brentwood Centennial game on the boys side, and also Dixon Franklin on the boys side. Coach Tigert with a return to his beloved Dixon County.
That'll be interesting.
But make no mistake, he's a rebel.
Back Alley Barbecue, one of the best places in Dixon. Check it out. I've seen him there many times.
Dr. Qualls, what a pleasure to have you here.
It's been fantastic. If you're still watching, everybody out in Gallatin, we love you. To all the old fans, I appreciate it. Sticking with us.
We'll see you next week for Sports Connection.